attorney is Mr. Mock, M-O-C-K. Defense attorney is Mr. Rael, R-A-E-L. Okay, we're starting off with the court. And we're at colloquy for a while, and then we start direct examination by plaintiff's attorney. Okay? Starts with margin the court. Get 200. Please be seated. I'll call the matter of People versus John Lee Lacey. The defendant is present with counsel, the district attorney. Now this is the time set for the preliminary hearing. The defendant is charged in count 1 with a violation of section 288 of the Penal Code and an allegation of being the defendant more than 10 years older than the alleged victim. Count 2 is the same charge with the same allegation. Count 3, a violation of section 288 with the allegation as to the age. Count 4, violation of section 288 with an allegation as to age. Count 5 is a violation of section 1203.2 of the Penal Code. I indicated to counsel in chambers I had planned to attend a funeral at 2 and would recess this matter until 2:30. Mr. Rael also has some problem with his scheduling this afternoon. We will meet here at 2:30 and then go as far as we can, and if Mr. Rael can delay his matter until 3:30, why we will proceed at 2:30. The matter of the People versus Lacey, were you able to gain a half hour or whatever? Yes, my presence is expected as late as 4 o'clock. I think we will be okay. Well, hopefully we can conclude the prelim. Right, I think we will be okay. Would you call your first witness? Are there any motions about excluding witnesses? Yes, I would move to exclude witnesses, Your Honor. All right. The witnesses will be excluded in this case. They should remain in the corridor until they are summoned by the marshal. Who is your first witness? My first witness is Paula Lacey, Your Honor. I would ask that the witness's mother be allowed to remain in the courtroom with them when they are testifying. They are very young. They are very timid, and she would not be testifying as a percipient witness to any specific instances as a percipient witness to the act itself, but only about some certain statements in relation to that. But I believe that if the mother is not allowed to remain in here, then there might be some problems with their testifying. The problem I see with what the district attorney is saying, Your Honor, is that I believe that the district attorney may attempt to prove some other counts in whole or in part based on evidence from the mother alone, in which case whether she actually saw the events complained of or not. She will be a material witness as to at least one count. That is not true. I don't intend to prove any particular counts by the mother's statements alone. I said in part or alone. Well, we have a case here where the mother is not a percipient witness to the crime. I suggest you call the mother first and then we'll take up whether or not she should remain. All right. And then the children would have to remain in the hallway, I think. Mr. Mock, if they are going to all remain in the hallway, I think if the mother remains with them out there, then if you were going to call her, we can take them separately. I think she is either going to be in here or out there, and they are going to be out in the hallway with, sitting in the hallway with strangers. I know. I have a double problem here with what to do. We'll try it. All right. Then have your first witness stay in the courtroom. The others should go out with her then. Do you want to step up here into this chair? Paula, would you tell us your name? Paula Marie Lacey. Okay, Paula. How old are you? 11. What is your birthday? March 18. And what grade are you in school? Fifth. Do you get pretty good grades in school? Yeah. Do you know how to read? Yeah. Do you know how to write? Yeah. Can you do arithmetic in school? Uh-huh. And do you know the difference, Paula, between telling the truth and telling a lie? Uh-huh. Okay. What happens when you tell a lie? You usually get punished in some way. Okay. Let me just tell you a short story. Let's say we have a little girl, that is a little girl, it doesn't matter what her name is, and she goes to the store and she has 50 cents and she buys a loaf of bread and it costs 40 cents. So she has 10 cents change left over and she takes that 10 cents and she buys some candy and she eats it on the way home. When she gets home, she takes the loaf of bread out and she shows it to her mother, and her mother says, "Was there any change?" And she says, "No." Now, was that little girl telling the truth or was she lying? She was lying? Yes. Are you going to tell us the truth about everything you testify here today, Paula? Yes. I would ask that this witness be qualified to testify. Do you have any questions? Yes, I do. Paula, do you know what would happen if you were to tell a lie in court today? Yeah, it wouldn't hurt me. It would hurt Daddy. Now, the story the district attorney just told you, have you heard that story before? No. No further questions? All right. Now, the witness is competent to testify. Mr. Mock, thank you. Paula, how long have you lived in Willow Creek? Since October, I think. Since October? Yes. Where did you live before that? In Arcata. In Arcata. How long did you live in Arcata? Since the beginning of the year, I think since school started. Okay. And before that, you lived in Grants Pass? Yeah. And then before that, you lived in a place called Happy Camp? I think. I don't. I think. Do you remember the name of the place called Happy Camp? Yes. And do you remember the name of the place where you lived called Gold Beach? Yes. Is that in Oregon? I think so. Paula, I'm going to ask some questions, and I know it's going to be a little tough for you. I want you to just tell the truth, okay? Tell us what happened. Okay. When you were living in Gold Beach, do you remember a time when your father asked you to come into the house by yourself? Yes. Your Honor, I am going to object. The first objection is relevant, and the second objection is at best leading. Well, he can lead a witness of this age. What is the relevance of Oregon? Well, there is an act that happened in Oregon. Oh, I'm sorry. Happened in Oregon, different jurisdiction. I just recognize that fact, okay? Paula, sometime between living in Gold Beach and living in Grants Pass, Oregon, okay? You lived in Happy Camp. Is that right? Uh-huh. Okay. Do you remember a time at Happy Camp when your father had you come into the house? Yes. By yourself with nobody around? Your Honor, same objection. Jurisdiction as to what? As to this question, asking a question concerning events that happened in Happy Camp. Now, this court has no jurisdiction for anything occurring in Happy Camp. Happy Camp is in what? Trinity, is it? It's not in this county, that's all I know. I thought Happy Camp was in Humboldt County. I don't believe it is. I know it's in Siskiyou. Siskiyou. There is a jurisdictional problem, I have to admit. I will have to research this jurisdictional problem. Could I have 1 second here? I think that this court has jurisdiction. If I could have a few minutes, maybe I could find some case law on it. Well, are any of the alleged offenses in the complaint or any of the counts in the complaint alleged to have happened in Humboldt County? Not with this witness. Any other witness? Yes, but I know there is a specific problem in these types of cases where these things happen like this and they happen over a period of time. Well, let's withdraw this witness and take care of the witnesses who are, or were you going to have them testify outside the county or the state? No. The other witnesses? No. I suggest you withdraw this witness and call your next witness, and then we'll recess after the 3 witnesses that have testified. I have 1 witness to testify to specific acts in Humboldt County, other than the mother. 1. All right. Let's have the 1, and then that will be testifying. And then recess, and we'll take up your jurisdictional problem. You want to step down and go outside for the time being? Thank you. Right up here. Right up here. Raise your right hand. Do you promise that everything you say here and now will be the truth, so help you God? I do. Billy, would you please tell us your name? Billy Shannon Lacey. How old are you, Billy? 8. What is your birthday, Billy? September 18th. What grade are you in school? 3rd. Do you get pretty good grades in school? Yeah. Do you read? Yeah. Do you write? Yeah. Do you know arithmetic? No. No. You don't do very well in arithmetic? No. Do you know the difference, Billy, between telling the truth and telling a lie? Yeah. What happens if you tell a lie? You get in trouble. You get in trouble. I want to tell you a short story, okay? And then I'm going to ask you a question at the end of it. Say there was a little boy and he went to the store, okay? Maybe there was a store in Willow Creek. Let's say he had 50 cents his mom gave him to buy a loaf of bread, and the loaf of bread cost 40 cents. While at the store, he gets to looking at the candy and he spends the 10 cents he had on candy, okay? Now he eats the candy on the way home. When he got home, he gave the loaf of bread to his mother, and she asked him if he had any change, and he said, "No, I didn't get any change. It cost 50 cents. Now, was he telling the truth or was he lying to his mom? He was lying. He was lying. Are you going to tell us the truth about everything you say here today? Yes. I'd ask that the witness be qualified at this time, Mr. Rail. Do you know what place this is we are at today, what kind of room this is? Yeah. What is it? Courtroom. Do you know what happens if you lie in the courtroom? No. What do you think is going to happen if you lie in the courtroom? Get in trouble. Have you ever heard of something called a white lie? No. Have you ever been punished for lying before? Yeah. Do you understand that if you lie today, you will be punished also? Yeah. Nothing further. Do you know who I am, Billy? Not my name, but do you know what I do? No. Pardon? No. Do you know why I'm sitting here? No. Well, I'm the judge, and I listen to what you say when they ask you questions. So if you don't tell the truth, the judge would be the one that would perhaps punish you if you didn't tell the truth. Do you understand that? Yes. All right. I think he is competent to testify as a witness. Okay. Billy, you live in Willow Creek now, is that right? Yes. How long have you lived in Willow Creek? About a year? Yeah, about. Do you remember where you lived before you moved to Willow Creek? Arcata. Did you live there for a long time or just a short time? Not very long. Not very long. Did you live in Grants Pass before you moved to Arcata? Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm going to ask you some things. Remember we talked earlier today? All right. Some things that happened in Arcata when you and your little sister Betty and your dad were alone in the house, okay? Are you going to tell us all those things? Okay. You going to tell the truth, right? Yes? Okay. At the time that you told me about it earlier, you told me that you and your little sister, Your Honor, this is excessively leading. Yes. I think it's a little too far sustained. Okay. Was there a time that you remember now where you and your little sister were alone in your dad's room and something happened? Yeah. Okay. Can you tell us what happened? Yeah. Just look at me, Billy. Tell me what happened. Did your father make you take your pants down? Yes. Okay. Did your dad make your little sister take her pants down? Yes. Where was everybody else when this was happening? Do you know? My mom was going to pick up Paula and Jean from Grants Pass. They were staying at my grandma's. Just you and Betty were staying at the house with your dad? Yes. Was it nighttime or was it daytime? It was daytime. It was daytime. After your dad made you and Betty take your pants down, what happened next? Did he touch you? Yes. Did he touch you in your private parts? Yes. Do you understand what I mean by private parts? Yes. Okay. Did he make you do something with Betty? Yes. Okay. What did he make you do with Betty? He made me get on her. He made you get on her? Yeah. Okay. What was your dad doing while you were doing this? He was watching us. He was watching you? Yes. Did your dad have something on his hands when he touched you? Yes. What was that? Vaseline. Vaseline. After this happened, did your dad show himself to you or anything? No. Did you talk to Betty about this right afterwards? No. Okay. How long after this happened did you talk to Betty? I didn't talk to Betty. On that date, didn't Betty tell you that your dad made her do something? Yes. That same day? Yes. Your Honor, that is hearsay. I object to that. Your Honor, Betty is the 5-year-old, a six-year-old little girl, and I would ask that the witness be able to testify as to her statements for 2 reasons. One is that in this case where we have a witness that is too young to testify and she can't be qualified as a witness, the statements made reasonably close to the time are spontaneous declarations. In this case, and I can cite the case law in that regard, number 1 and number 2, There is a recent complaint doctrine that allows this type of evidence to come in. And I cite the case of People versus or Do Know, which is 80 Cal App 3rd, 738. That is a recent case which recognizes the spontaneous declaration exception. Well, if it is a spontaneous declaration, and if it is shortly after a traumatic or exciting event, I suppose it would be admissible. I will overrule it subject to a motion to strike. There is a second ground that I would also ask that it comes in, and that is the recent complaint doctrine that broadens the spontaneous declaration. The doctrine where a victim of a crime like this the statements can come in as a recent complaint. Any response to that, Your Honor? I'd like to respond to the district attorney's assertions, but I have another objection to make also. First, I will cover this area. The district attorney is attempting to introduce evidence through this boy regarding statements made to him by a 6-year-old child. I assume this is the 6-year-old child you do not intend to call as a witness. Is that correct? I'd like to call the 6-year-old child as a witness, but I will try. I will be glad to try. My understanding from my conversation with the district attorney was that the 6-year-old child would not be able to testify. Is that correct? Is that what you told me? I think that she will not be able to be qualified as a witness unless she has changed since this morning. Well, it depends on whether she testifies or not. As to whether there is a prior consistent or inconsistent statement, I assume whether it is a spontaneous declaration, it will all be subject to a motion to strike, depending on whether she testifies or does not testify. Okay, I'd like to make my objections clear. They are, first of all, that the evidence is hearsay. Second of all, there is no foundation also that the evidence can come in within the spontaneous declaration exception. I haven't been able to lay a foundation for that. Third of all, that the complaint doctrine, which is not a recent doctrine, it's an old doctrine, was specifically held in the case cited by the district attorney to not allow admissibility of complaints for the proof of the matter asserted, just to the credibility of a witness who testifies. Okay, 2:25 for voice for 5 minutes. We're in cross-examination by defense attorney. Ready? And how far back on the truck did you say he was standing? Near the rear wheel? Near the rear wheel. That put him how far approximately? Would you say from, let's say from your mirror, which is what you were looking at him in, about 15 feet. How far from the truck was he? He was standing right up next to it, right near the truck? Right. Now, you indicated your truck was parked on the wrong side of the street. Is that correct? That's correct. So that means the driver's side was against the curb. That's correct. Was this person that appeared to be Mr. Dawson, or someone who looked like Mr. Dawson, and did he stand on the curb or did he stand in the street? Well, the truck was right on the curb, so he was standing on the curb, not in the street. I'm sorry, not in the street, right on the curb. Your wheels were right up against the curb itself, right? I always have to do that because it hangs over on the other side. Now, you say this whole thing took approximately 5 minutes. Is that correct? That's correct. And it was strictly a matter of what you've testified here, a gun in your face. Give me your money. I said all your money, right? Right, yes. At which time you gave the money out of your pocket? True. And he said, all your money. What did you do next after you took the money out of the shirt pocket? And then he says, no, I mean all of your money, and so indicating that he wanted the money that was in our wallets. And all I had was $1 on me, and then he turned it to my partner and demanded that he give him all his money. Now, what did he do with the gun when you say he turned it to your partner? He pointed it at my partner directly. All right. Now, that would be across you. It was across me. Where was the gun then in relationship to your face as he pointed it at your partner? Right in front of it, Directly in front of your face? Yes. And your partner was sitting, I assume, in the other side of the truck in the passenger seat? Right. And your partner gave him the money? True. Right. And what happened next? Then he wanted more money, and we told him we didn't have any more money. And that's all we had, you know, and so then he got a little excited about everything because that's all we had, and he grabbed the keys and struck me on the side of the head, and then they took off around the corner. When he took off around the corner as he started to run, and I'm talking about as he actually left the window of your truck, what was this person that appeared to be Mr. Dawson doing? As soon as Mr. Benton left the side of the truck, Mr. Dawson left the side of the truck too, and they both ran around the corner. You say around the corner. Did they run around the corner of the truck or around the corner of the street, an intersection? How far did you actually see these two people running? All the way around the corner. I watched them in the mirror. How far is that? 200 feet. Okay. And you just sat and watched in the rear view mirror as they ran away from the truck? Right. Now, you indicated that on direct examination that this person with the bandana that appeared to be Mr. Dawson, and I believe what you said was, I think we had a lot of hair. The question was, he appeared to have a lot of hair. Isn't that correct? That is correct. And your answer was what? Well, with the bandana on and everything was kind of puffed out. So I assume that he would have a lot of hair, you know. I don't know. All right, so you don't really know if he had a lot of hair or not. No, not with the bandana on. In fact, you know that Mr. Dawson has a lot of hair. In fact, he's had a lot of hair every time you've seen him in court. Isn't that correct? That's correct. Except when he has those little braids. Yes, okay. And did you have a conversation with the police afterwards, right after the robbery? Right, yes. And did the police ask you if you thought you could identify either of the people? We told them that we would identify. But what did you tell them? I told them yes. You told the police you could identify both or one of them. I told them I could identify Mr. Benton. And that was the person who was at the window of the truck? Right. And what did you tell them about this other person that you saw standing at the rear of the truck? I told them I wasn't really too sure. In fact, you said you didn't think you could identify him. Isn't that correct? That's correct. Other than looking up and down the street, did this person standing at the rear of the truck do anything else? No. And he said nothing? Nothing. May I have just a moment, Your Honor? Sure. When you were shown photographs by the police, could you positively identify two photographs at this time? No. I can only identify one. And who was that, Mr. Benton? I have nothing further, Your Honor. Mr. Lucas, any redirect? And just a question. Mr. Moore, the hair of the man who stood near the rear of the truck, did that hair look like it might have been braided underneath the bandana? It's really hard to tell because the bandana covered everything and it was tied right at the front of his head and that was it, you know. And so it was really kind of hard to tell. And did you tell the police that you thought it might have been braided that day when you reported it to them? I could have. It's been a while. Fine. Thank you, sir. I have no further questions. May I ask one question, Your Honor? Surely. And do you work quite often in the Compton area? We go over there quite often, yes. It's generally a black area, is it not? Yes, it is. Is it common to see young men wearing bandanas on their head? Yes, it's very common. I have nothing further. Anything else? Mr. Lucas? Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you. All right. May the witness be excused? He may be excused. Could we have him send in Mr. Karp when he goes out? Mr. Moore, you are free to leave the courthouse if you wish. And would you please ask Mr. Karp to come in when you go out? Yes. Question by defense. From his appearance, did he seem to know how to fire a weapon? I don't understand the question. Well, you instructed him how to use that .38. Is that correct? That's correct. From what you observed, did he appear to have ever fired a weapon before? Appeared to be unknowledgeable? He appeared to be what? Unknowledgeable of weapons or not having prior training. He did not appear to have prior training. Would you say that he was inexperienced with weapons? Yes. Did he seek any information regarding any further courses? No. When you say he was inexperienced or unknowledgeable, can you explain what you saw that led you to that conclusion? Like most students that come in, They have had very limited knowledge of handguns. It is a very basic course and he was there to learn. Well, are you assuming that because he enrolled in the course, or was it something that you saw that brought you to that conclusion and observed? He didn't exhibit any knowledge of handguns prior to the course or coming into the course. Now, this course was just a 3-hour course, is that correct? That's correct. And when you say it is a very basic course, would you explain that? The course consists of weapons, ammunition, theory of shooting, practical application of what is taught in the course with regards to shooting. Like I said, it is very basic. Is there any instruction with regard to the cleaning of the weapon? Yes, there is. And how much time is devoted to practice of the actual firing of the weapon as opposed to the verbal instruction during this 3-hour period? Approximately 45 minutes. Well explained. 45 minutes for which part of the shooting? And the other 2 hours are verbal instruction, classroom, yes. And just does that include disassembling and putting together the gun again? Not disassembling, no. But what does it include? The instruction as to how to properly handle, maintain, and the basics of running a brush through a barrel in the cylinder to clean it and wiping a weapon down. I am approaching the witness with defendant's exhibit B for identification. I am taking from the bag a smaller included bag, and from that bag I am removing what appears to be a revolver. The hand grips are inside there. Is that the type of weapon you saw that day? It is similar in type, yes. It was a short nose, such as that one? Yes, it was. For the record, do you mean short barrel? Is that right? Short barrel, yes, Your Honor, as opposed to a longer barrel. That is correct, sir. Is that typically known as a 2-inch? Is that a 2-inch? Yes, it is typically known as a 2-inch. It may not be 2 inches in length. I understand that, but that is what is generally referred to? Correct. During your course, was there any discussion of semi-automatic weapons? During the course, yes. At what point during the course was there a discussion? During the 2-hour instructions. During that time, did Dr. Cooperman ever indicate to you whether he also owned a semi-automatic? He did not. He didn't indicate to you whether or not, or he did not indicate whether he owned one or not. Did you ever see Dr. Cooperman again after that basic 3-hour course? Only in the picture, in the newspaper. No further questions, Your Honor. Ever see him before that course? No, sir. And so you saw him that day for 3 hours? That's correct. Mr. Jensen? No questions. We have completed examination of this witness. Yes, sir. Sir, step down very carefully so you don't fall. Call your next witness, Mr. Martinez. Sir, please stand over here behind the court reporter. Raise your right hand to be sworn, please. You do solemnly swear the testimony you are about to give and the cause now pending before this court